Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video we're going to be pretty much looking at the introduction into expanding algebraic expressions. This is kind of like a pre topic you need before you can start using quadratic stuff. So I thought I'd just make a video on it and go through some basic questions on it. So let's just read the little blurb they have here. So in order to sketch graphs of quadratics, we need to find the x-axis intercepts if they exist. And to do this, we need to solve quadratic equations. As an introduction to the methods of solving quadratic equations, the first two sections of this chapter will be based on algebraic processes of expansion and factorization. So in this video and then the next video, I'll be doing pretty much introduction to expansion, and then the next couple of videos I'll be doing factorization. So just some stuff you need to know before you can even have a go at quadratic equations for math methods. So let's get straight into it. So expanding is pretty much distributing a multiple to some brackets pretty much. So for example, what this statement is saying here, this is saying 2 times by x minus 5. And the way you do that is you have to multiply the 2 by each of the elements individually. So for example, you would go 2 times by x and then 2 times by negative 5. So what this would be 2x, and then 2 times negative 5 is minus 10. Now notice they're not combined together still, and I just did them individually. So that's pretty much what expanding is. So all you got to do is that for each of the bits here. So simplify this following expression by expanding first. So first we expand and then we add any like terms together. So what we do is literally just what we just did there. So 2x minus 5 minus 3x plus 5. And all we got to do is expand both the brackets. So 2 times by x, then times by negative 5, and then 3 times by x, and positive 5. So what we're going to get here is 2x minus 10, and then we're going to get minus 3x, and then we're going to get minus 15. And then we've got to look for pretty much like terms. So straight away I can see this and this are like terms, so I can add them together, and I'll get minus x. And I can also see the numbers can be added together. So minus 10 minus 15 is minus 25. So all we've done is simplify this expression by expanding, and that is that. Now notice this isn't really an equation because there's no equal sign, but we've simplified it pretty much. Let's move on to the next example. So expand the following pretty much. So what we're going to do is the exact same thing. So 2x multiplied by 3x minus 2 plus 3x on x minus 2. And all we're going to do is expand this. So when you expand here, what we have is pretty much 2x times by 3x. So we can multiply the numbers together, so that will give us 6. And now here we can see these are both the same variable. So if you remember index laws, if you have a to the n times by a to the m, so pretty much their powers, if you multiply them together, you add those powers together. So what we have here is pretty much x to the 1 times by x to the 1. So what we're going to get is x to the 1 plus 1. So in other words, x squared pretty much. So what we're going to have here is 6x squared pretty much. So we'll have 6x squared. Then we're going to have 2x times by negative 2. So that will give us minus 4x. Okay. And then you're going to do the same thing here as well. So same here, we've got the same situation here. So we're going to have 3 times by 1, which is 3. And then x times x, which is squared. So it's going to be plus 3x squared. Then we're going to have 3x times by negative 2, which is minus 6x. Excuse me. Righto. So now we're going to see if there's any like terms. So I can see two like terms. For example, the x squares are like terms, and the x's are like terms. So we can add those two together respectively. So 6x squared plus 3x squared is going to be 9x squared, and minus 4x minus 6x is going to be minus 10x. So all we've done is pretty much simplified it and expanded. Okay. Let's move on to the next example. So expand the following. So these ones are a bit different because we have to use FOIL. So pretty much when you want to expand something like this, you've got to multiply this by all of this as well as this by all of that. And now the way you do it is, I think the best way is to draw a couple arrows. So let's just do A together. So x plus 3 multiplied by 2x minus 3. So we've got to multiply the x by all that. So what we're going to do is draw arrows connecting to every single one, and we'll do them individually. So x times by 2x is going to be 2x squared. X times by minus 3 is going to be minus 3x. So we've done that, but now we've got to do the 3 now. So you draw another couple arrows down here. So you go 3 times by 2x, which is going to be plus 6x. Then you do 3 times by negative 3. So that's going to be minus 9. Okay. Now we look for like terms, and we can see, all right, 3x can be added with negative 3x plus 6x can be given positive 3x minus 9, and then 2x squared. And what we can see here is we've got a quadratic equation here pretty much. So we get familiar with x squares in this video because these questions are pretty much preparing us to solve quadratic equations. Now, this one looks a bit trickier because of the surd pretty much here, but it's exactly the same process. So all we're going to do is, alright, we'll write them out together. So, question B, x minus 3, oh, terrible bracket, multiplied by 2x minus 2 root 2. Now, all you've got to do is just, alright, this is just a number. It looks scary because of the square root here, but that is just a number pretty much. So just treat it like a number. And all we're going to do is the exact same thing we were doing here. So x times by this and this. So now we just do it individually. So x times by 2x is going to be 2x squared. X times by this is going to be minus 2 root 2x. So see, this is just a number. So that should be the coefficient of x because that's a coefficient of 1. So 1 times by this is still just this. So that's why I got this here. Okay. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with minus 3. So minus 3 times by here, and then minus 3 times by here. So we'll do this one a bit closer. So we'll go minus 3 times by 2x is going to be minus 6x, minus 3 times by minus 2 root 2. Now all we're going to do is, alright, just multiply the front two numbers because you can't simplify the surd anymore. So minus 3 times by minus 2 is going to be positive 6. So all we have is 2x squared minus 2 root 2, x minus 6x, and this is going to be positive 6 root 2. And that's about it. If you want, you can take out a factor of x in there. So you have 2x squared plus minus 2 root 2 minus 6 times by x. If you really wanted to, but that's still fine by itself there. Okay. Let's take a look at one more example for this first part of the video, and then we'll pretty much split it up. Actually, how many more we got? We'll do all the examples, and then we'll have a go at the questions in the next video, I reckon. Alright, so expanding this one. So this one we can see we've got 3 pretty much terms in here. So what we're going to do is a bit differently. Rather than doing FOIL, because we're going to have a ton of arrows pretty much, the best way to do this is just to write down these guys outside the brackets first. So in other words, 2x minus 1 times by 3x squared plus 2x plus 4. So I need to multiply the 2x by all this stuff here. Now I'm not going to draw a couple arrows because it'll get too cluttered. So what I'm going to do is just rewrite this as, alright, 2x times by, and just write that whole thing. And then I'm going to do the same thing with minus 1. So it'll be minus 1 multiplied by that whole thing. So rather than drawing a lot of arrows, so it gets too cluttered. So when you have more than 2 terms in here, it's best to just start doing stuff like this. Because if I had, like, let's say I had 4x cubed here, I'd be having 1, 2, 3, 4 arrows, and it'd look like a mess. So it's much better algebraically just to do it like this when it has more than 2 terms. So now we can draw the arrows here if you really wanted to. So we'll go, alright, 2x times by 3, so 2x times 3x squared plus 2x times by 2x plus 2x times by 4. So that's that there. Minus, so negative 1, so plus negative 1 times by 3x squared plus negative 1 times by 2x plus negative 1 times by 4. So let's just simplify these. So this here will turn into 6x cubed. This here will turn into 4x squared. This here will turn into 8x. This here will turn into minus 3x squared. This here will turn into minus 2x, and this here will be turned into minus 4. Now we look for like terms. So we can see we've got 2 quadratic like terms. And we've also got 2 linear like terms. So what we can do is add those together. There's no other cubics and no other numbers. So our answer is going to be 6x cubed. So 4x squared minus 3x squared is going to be positive x squared. 8x minus 2x is going to be positive 6x minus 4. So that is that expanded pretty much. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Alright, so it's exactly the same example as this one up here. All they've done is they've added a couple more surds in the second example. So all we got to do for A is just write out our bracket. So 2x minus 4 times by 2x plus 4, and then just draw your arrows. So this multiplied by that, this multiplied by that, and that. So 2x times 2x is going to be 4x squared. 2x times by 4 is going to be positive 8x. Minus 4 times by 2x is going to be minus 8x. Minus 4 times by 4 is going to be minus 16. So what we can see is we can see those cancel out. So we get 4x squared minus 16. Okay. Now let's do the same thing here. So b. So x minus 2 root 7 times by x plus 2 root 7. Okay. So what we're going to do is just do the same thing. That times by that, and that, and that times by that, and that times by that. Okay. X times x is x squared. X times 2 root 7 is going to be positive 2 root 7x. Negative 2 root 7 times by x is going to be minus 2 root 7x. Negative 2 root 7 times by 2 root 7. We'll handle that in a sec. But we can see those terms cancel out. So what we have is x squared plus negative 2 root 7 times by 2 root 7. So what we're going to do is work this out really quickly. So first of all, multiply the 2's together because those are the outside of the surd. So we'll have minus 4. Then go root 7 times by root 7. And let's see what this is. So a square root is the same as that number to the power of a half. So in other words, we have 7 to the power of a half times by 7 to the power of half. So if we were to add the indices, we get 7 to the power of 1. So in other words, this is going to be negative 4 times by 7, which is negative 28. So what we have is x squared minus 28. And that's it. Let's move on to the final example now. Alright, so this one's a bit different because there's no numbers involved. So what that means is we're going to probably have to use our index laws and add the indices for a lot of them. So we can see we've got 3 terms here. So what we're going to do is write it out separately. So 2a minus b plus c. 2a minus b minus c. So we can rewrite this as 2a times by 2a minus b minus c minus b times by 2a minus b minus c plus c multiplied by 2a minus b minus c, and all we're going to do is multiply them individually. So 2a times 2a is going to be 4a squared. 2a multiplied by negative b is going to be minus 2ab. Negative 2a times by negative c is going to be minus 2ac. Minus b multiplied by 2a is going to be minus 2ab. Negative b multiplied by negative b is going to be positive b squared. Minus b times by minus c is going to be positive cb. C times by 2a is going to be positive 2ac. C times by negative b is going to be minus cb. And c multiplied by negative c is going to be minus c squared. Now we look pretty much for like terms. So I can't see any more of these, so I'm not going to look for any of them. I can see though, that's a like term, and that's a like term. And I can also see that's a like term with that. So that cancels out. That doesn't. And that does with that. So what we're left with is, alright, 4a squared minus 4ab plus b squared minus c squared. And that's it. Right, so that was the first part of the expanding video. I'll do a part 2 where I cover these questions here with more complex expressions, and then this one down here, which is a problem solving problem. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave some in the comments and I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching.